Shazam almost failed from the very start. And it's all my fault. Because my original idea for Shazam was not good enough. See, my original idea for Shazam was actually based on technologies that did exist at that time. And what did exist was nice, simple music recognition for radio. Simple because there's no background noise, right? Just clean signals of radio being monitored using simple music recognition. And I thought I could tie into these services that are monitoring the radio stations, and I would provide a service where you would take your mobile phone, and you want to know the song. If it's playing on the radio, you could type in the radio station number of what you're listening to, and it would tell you the name of the song, okay? You have to know the radio station number. You have to type it in on your phone, and it only works if it's the radio. Now, that was my original idea for Shazam. If I had hired people, raised millions of dollars in venture capital, hired lots of people to build this service, and launched it and called it Shazam, do you think it would still exist today? No. And how frustrating would that be? I mean, to spend years of your life raising millions of dollars, hiring people, going to do all this work to launch this service that becomes defunct. And by the way, 6 companies did do that, and they're all gone, except Sony. So that was the original idea for Shazam. Now, before Shazam almost failed, I almost failed. Because as a child, and even today, I have dyslexia. And so everything was a struggle for me. Academics were a struggle. When I was about 10 or 11 years old, I was in a public school where they had 60 children in that grade. And so they said, we're going to have 2 classrooms. We're going to put the smart 30 kids in this classroom, and the not so smart 30 kids in this classroom. And that's where I was put. Now, I worked really, really hard. I worked really hard to overcome the dyslexia and come up with my own coping mechanisms. And when I got into college, I was able to get into UC Berkeley civil engineering. But again, I was in way over my head. Everyone was so smart. I was so lost. And my first semester at UC Berkeley, I got a 1.7 grade point average, failing grades. And what they do is they write a letter, and they send that letter directly to your parents. And it says, your child is going to be kicked out of UC Berkeley by next semester if he doesn't get his grades up. Now, there's one more thing that happened to me as a child. When I was in about 14 years old, my biology teacher wrote a report card to my parents, and it said, your child is defiant. He questions my authority. He questions the things I teach. Right? And it's written in a negative tone, defiant. We don't want our children to be defiant. But then I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, you know what? Maybe it's not such a bad thing, defiance. I mean, I loved making magic shows as a child, magic shows. And what is magic? Magic is defiance, right? Defiance of logic. So what if you could use defiance to create magic? Because that's what we did with Shazam. We created something so magical that it became a verb. Right? Someone would Google something on their computer, and if they want to know the song, they would Shazam it. Something so magical, it got 2 billion downloads. And something so magical, and this is true not for very many products, that many people will tell you they can remember the very first time they used Shazam. They'll say, oh yeah, I remember. I was in the car with my friend, and they said, hey, you got to check out this app. And they couldn't believe it identified a song. They remember the very first time they used it. That's not even true for me, for the MacBook, and that's an incredible product. It's creating magic.